battle. They're still scattered across the Highlands. Only about 6,000 Jacobites will make it here to fight, so they're slightly outnumbered. But outnumbered or not, so important is this town, they're going to have to fight. The more important question, though, is where? Because the British Army, by the 14th of April, has made it to the town of Nairn, 12 miles east of you, and they are setting camp for the night. The Jacobites, who are just gathering up here in Inverness, have to find somewhere between here and Nairn that allows them to A, block the road, and B, gives them a good chance of winning a battle. Which brings us to Culloden, a field to your left. Have a look at it, ladies and gentlemen, and tell me, what do you see out there? How would you describe this as a battlefield?
Boggy, grassy,
All very great descriptions. It's incredibly flat. It's also incredibly open, as you said. Even more so than it is today. All the trees around us are modern, planted the last 100 years or so. They are not here near the bow. It's very barren, very flat, very desolate moor. It's effectively featureless, apart from one main feature, and you just touched on it, sir. It's a bog. It's a marsh. It's a swamp. Out there is ankle to knee deep, mucky, marshy quagmire. Ground the Jacobites would have to attack through. So, when you add all this all together, what do you think? This is a good place for the Jacobites to make their stand? No, of course not. It's a terrible place to fight for anyone. So, that's why the most common question we get asked here at Culloden is a very simple, why here? What are the Jacobites thinking? Why did they choose this of all places to make a stand? Well, the truth is, they never even looked at it. Many of the Jacobite generals, their commanders, were ex-British Army officers who had experience fighting wars. You know how to read ground, you know how to win battles. Remember, they've won every battle so far. Which is why Culloden Moor, this marsh, wasn't even considered as an option. The Jacobites actually chose a battlefield a mile to the east of you, a place known as Newlands. Why? It would have been perfect for them. Nice high ground with gentle slopes. Perfect for the aggressive fighting style of the Jacobites. So they're going to go there on the 15th of April in the morning. They're going to line up for battle, prepare, and make ready what they think is the imminent arrival of the British Army. And no one shows up. Not so. The British Army, in fact, hasn't moved from there all day. Why? What's it been doing? After all, it's been making rapid speed up the road so far, maybe 25 miles a day. Why hasn't it moved this time? What's going on? Some sort of clever trick? No. It just so happens, by sheer coincidence, the 15th of April is Cumberland's 25th birthday. Because he's the British King's son, naturally, he's giving the British Army a day off. Celebrate. We're having a party. A morale booster before the battle. The Jacobites have been standing in rain and sleet at Newlands all day. There's no meal waiting for them. Such is the pressure of the constant fighting, they are now down to starvation rations. A biscuit a day. And that's if they're lucky. Not to mention, Charles, such as the pressure he's been under, has run out of money. He's been able to pay his men properly for the last 2 months. So you're not getting fed, and you're not getting paid, and you're not a hardcore believer in this cause. There's no real reason for you to be here anymore. The Jacobites are still on defeat on the battlefield, and yet you can see the situation they are in. Their army is disintegrating, it's hemorrhaging men to desertion, they've run out of food, money, supplies, everything. They're about to lose this war despite never having lost a battle. So desperate times, measures. Night attack. Charles will order his men to march the 12 miles to Nairn during the night, try and attack and surprise the British Army while still asleep. Maybe even kill or capture Culloden if they have the chance. It's a daring plan, but has the chance of reigniting this rebellion if it works. But Nairn is 12 miles away. And you're not doing this march down a nice modern day road. You're going cross country, in the Highlands. That's nearly 6,000 men, mostly single file, through thick, dense forests and trees, over 8-foot high walled enclosures, through the rivers, over the hills, in the pitch black, in the middle of a thunderstorm. How do you see this going for the Jacobites? It's a disaster. Many Jacobites are not Highlanders, they're either Lowland Scots or English, and are not used to this type of ground. They're laden down with heavy equipment, nearly 50 pounds of gear. Big gaps open up between the men as the lighter Highlanders push forward and the rest start to fall back and lose ground. Others get lost, get confused, get spread out all 4 directions. And yet, in spite of all these difficulties, nearly half the Jacobites still make it just 1 mile short of there. 1 mile. Relatively close, they can see the British soldiers' campfires in the distance. They know they've got them by surprise. As they're making themselves prepared for what they're about to do, they are given the order to turn around. Because they're The generals have realized what's happened. They're missing the prince, there's no sign of him. They're missing senior leaders, they're missing half the army. They do not feel confident they have enough Jacobites to do this, and thus make that crucial decision to call the attack off. And those poor Jacobites, having just marched 11 miles, have to march 11 miles back through those terrible, terrible grounds, on empty stomachs, in the pitch black, in a thunderstorm, all for the grand sum, nothing. So if you're a Jacobite right now, how are you feeling? Exactly. Demoralized, probably questioning what on earth your commanders are playing at, exhausted, starving. Now the Jacobite camp is just a mile past these trees to the north of us, a place known as Culloden House, down the ridge. Some of the Jacobites who get back first will keep going all the additional 5 miles in Inverness, searching for a roof over their heads for the night, or food or shelter. Some will simply collapse where they're standing, they're so exhausted, and get about half an hour's sleep if they're lucky. Most don't get any at all, and many are still lost out there in the woods when the scouts report to Prince Charles the British army's up, on the move, has been spotted coming right this way down the road. Now, if the Jacobites had been anywhere else during the war, they would have realised this is a bad situation to be in. We're exhausted, no shape to fight, and the British army's on its way. Let's abandon the town, let's get out of here. They can't do that. If they abandon Inverness, they lose the war. They have to hold it. So, it's all or nothing. Exhausted or not, they have to come up here to fight. But because they're now spread out over the area, it's going to take time to regroup them. Which means by the time they get back together, the British army is already bypassed Newlands, where they wanted to fight. Newlands is a mile to your right, to the east. The British army by this stage has already moved past it and made such rapid speed down the road that it's practically right on top of the Jacobites, coming down the road here and taking positions by the red flags to your left. The Jacobites who are coming from your left are only able to get this far forward when they bump into the British army here. So there you have it. Nobody chose Culloden as a battlefield. It's simply they found each other and now they're in too close contact to break away. It has to be a battle, and it has to be here. It's not ideal, not perfect at all, nobody chose it, but it's going to have to do. As the Jacobites line up for battle across the field, they spot to the horror what the field is. Marsh, bog. They have no idea how deep it is.